G'day, or good morning, depending on where you're to. Or I suppose depending on where you're to, good afternoon. That means. First things first, I have a new subscriber. Now, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, but it's written down as Uli Negron. Uli Negron, thank you very much. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. I'm not sure where you're to. With a name like that, I would say somewhere in Eastern Europe. But wherever you're to, thank you for subscribing. Fantastic. And Uli was watching one of my old videos from way back, and I was looking at a box of Polish Lancers. Uli obviously very observant, because he said they look like Esci molds, and that's exactly what they are. They're Esci figures in an artillery box, which I'm all for, actually. If another company's going to keep these figures in production, then great. I don't care who makes them, as long as they keep them in production so we can buy them. But very observant to notice that. And if you look on Plastic Soldier Review on the website, you will actually see quite a few boxes of figures that use Esci molds. There's quite a few. If you work your way through the Napoleonic stuff. I don't know about anything else like World War II or any other periods, but I know within the Napoleonic stuff there's quite a few boxes of figures by artillery that use Esci molds. So very observant, well spotted. I'm here working on our Cameron Highlanders. I've just started. I've done all the flesh tones done, so we're glad to get that out the way. And I've just started on the base coat for the tunics. And the base coat, as always for red tunics with me, is cavalry brown. That's my go-to base color for red tunics. For those of you that are interested, just quickly, what the flesh tones were I used, because somebody commented in one of the videos for the 95th Rifles that the flesh tones were spot on. So for those of you that are interested in what I use for that, base color beige red, next color dark flesh, then sunny skin tone, and finally just on the, that's basic skin tone. That's the flesh colors. So one thing I did notice with these Esci figures, if you ever get a chance to look at any close-up, I know BJ Kerno will know exactly what I'm talking about here. In the kilts, they put little lines. I don't think you can see it on that. They put little lines. You might just be able to see it. They put little lines in the kilts. Now I would assume that's just to aid me, the painter. I would think that's why they've done it, which is okay. I'm not keen on them lines being in the kilt. Rather, it was just flat. But it's okay. If it's to aid me, the painter, then I can understand that. But this figure, the lines in the kilt are diagonal. So you've got them like that, instead of like that, like that. They've done them like that on that. Just that one figure, that one pose, they've done them like that. Diagonal, like cross-hatching. Why? Why? That's not going to aid me, the painter. Mine is not the question, just a reason why. And another thing, I was looking at the facing colour for Cameron Highlanders, which is a 79th Cameronian, or later on became the Cameron Highlanders. This book by Arms and Uniforms of the Napoleonic Wars Part 1, L&F Funkin, which everybody should have. This one's falling to bits. Book which everybody should have. That tells me facings are green. This one, Wellington's infantry. There's our man there. You can see that the facings are green. But this one, another book which everybody should have, that tells me the facings are blue. So it pays to cross-reference things and check it out. And what I'm going to do in a little bit when I finish this video is I'm going to Google it, see what uniform patterns come up when I Google it. But at the moment it's 2 to 1 in favour of green for the facings. But yeah, it just proves you should always check it out, cross-reference things just to make sure. Don't totally rely on one book and say, oh well, that's gospel, that's what it says in this book, it's this, so that's what it is. Check it out. Check it out. So I was watching the other evening before I go, because I've not really got a lot to say this morning, but I was watching the other evening, who was I watching? Marksman Gaming. And he did about, I think about 17 minutes, he did a ramble, how he got into painting miniatures. And he said, I'll start the ball rolling. So he wants people to talk about how they got into painting miniatures. So I thought I'd do my little bit quickly before I go. Get on with these Highlanders. Well, I guess you can, my mother is responsible, I guess, for getting me into this. Because when I was, oh, I don't know, I guess about 7 or 8, we used to go to town sort of once a week, my mother and I. Because I was born on a small holding in the middle of countryside. So the nearest town was like sort of 5 miles away. So we had to get to the bus. So we would go into town and she would do whatever shopping she needed to do. And there was this department store in town, which sadly is no more. It has now been turned into the obligatory estate agents. My personal feeling is there should be a limit to how many estate agents there is in one town. Actually, my personal feeling is we should go and burn them all to the ground. They're a blight on society, estate agents. But anyway, we would invariably end up in this department store, and it sold all sorts, from wallpaper to paint to books to stationery, goodness knows what. And upstairs they had half of it upstairs was a toy department, and the other half was a model department. And I would invariably end up in the model department, and she would invariably, for some reason known only to herself, would invariably buy me a box of 1/72 scale Airfix figures, because that's all there was back then, figure-wise. I don't recall anything else. A little bit later on, when I was sort of 12, 13, sort of like that, they seemed to find Matchbox figures, but they seemed to just do World War II stuff. But she would buy me a box of these figures, and I must have had just about everything that they did, everything from zoo animals to astronauts to cowboys and Indians, to Robin Hood to Sheriff of Nottingham, which I'm actually going to get again as soon as this lockdown stuff's finished. I'm going to get the Robin Hood and Sheriff of Nottingham. I think you could get a good game out of that, those two sets. And I World War I, World War II, I mean, just all the Napoleonic stuff. And the biggest gripe was at the time when we was little kids, was with the Napoleonics there was no Prussians. Why are there no Prussians? And eventually Airfix made some Prussians, and they're too bloody small. They're fart-ass little things. But anyway, she would invariably buy me a box of these figures, so I guess you can say it's down to her. I mean, this place was an Aladdin's cave. You never seen so many models in one place at one time. I mean, it was just like unbelievable. The wall was plastered with all these wonderful iconic kits that I now remember. Some of which I ended up with, I have to say. I never painted any of these figures. I just played with them as was. Chucked the boxes, and I used to keep them in sweet tins, like the big Quality Street tins, the big brown ones. I had 2 or 3 of them, full right level. Now that tells you how many figures I had. But never painted any, just played with them as was. It wasn't until I was about 10 or 11, maybe a little bit older than that, that I got a brush and some of those awful Humber enamel paints and tried painting 1 or 2 and made a right pig's ear of it. So that was my first foray into painting miniatures, which is, and you grow up and you sort of get into other things, and miniatures get forgotten. And I actually gave these tins of figures away to a friend of mine. Wish I'd never done it now. It wasn't until my, I guess, mid to late 30s that I bought a few figures, and this time it was Esci and Ravel figures, because they'd come along. So I had things from Esci and Ravel, like 7 Years' War and Conquistadors and Aztecs, and wonderful, wonderful. And I painted a few of them, but I still didn't do it properly because I had no primer on the damn things and no highlights or anything like that, so I didn't really know what I was doing. It just gave me something to do at the time. But the bug, I guess you can say the bug was still there. The bug was still in me for this. It's like anything. When you're very young, you're very impressionable. Whatever parents do to a child, it will affect that child for the rest of its life. And having boxes of figures bought for you week in, week out, it I guess got ingrained, and that was the seed. Then so I sort of did that, and then life went a bit haywire. I went off the rails, and one thing and another. Basically, life was turned upside down. And I had years of upside downness. Basically, cutting a long story short, I ended up having to basically start over again. Go right back to square one with nothing and start over again. Which has not been easy. But it wasn't until my, I guess my early 50s, something like that. And I thought one day, you know what, I'm going to buy some figures. And by this time, everything was totally different, because there was a whole menagerie of manufacturers I'd never heard of, and there was all the proper paint you could buy, and terrain, and magazines, and so I started again. This time I thought, you know, I'm going to do this properly, which is hopefully what I'm doing. And then, see, I started watching, I got on the internet, and I sort of started watching videos on YouTube. And I thought, that looks fun. Making little videos looks fun. I didn't know how to go about this or what I was going to say in my first video. I had no idea. I just thought, oh, that seems fun. And it is. It's just about as enjoyable as painting the miniatures, making the videos. I do like being in front of a camera. You know, I'm not a show-off or anything like that, don't get me wrong, but I do enjoy being in front of a camera. I've done some stuff in the theatre, and I enjoy being on the stage. As a lot of you know, I was in TV series Hornblower, and I enjoyed that enormously. So yeah, being in front of a camera, I like. And this is a multifaceted hobby. Not only is there painting the miniatures, there's reading the history books, buying the magazines, reading them, making the videos, meeting people, getting in contact with other people of similar interest, which has been great. You know, I have a lot of people on here now which I call friends, which is totally different to Facebook, Instagram, and all those platforms. People on there are just a waste of space. They're just a waste of oxygen. But people on this platform and in the community, fantastic. Never met a nicer bunch of people, you know. Anybody will help you if they can, you know. You say to somebody, how do you do this, or what color do you use for that? They will tell you. Nobody is afraid to tell you how they do things, which is fantastic. Very, very enjoyable hobby. It's hard work. It's hard work. I mean, sitting for hours on end, painting something very small is, yeah, it's hard work. It's not the easiest hobby in the world. But it's vastly enjoyable, and the rewards are fantastic when you get a battalion of whatever and it's finished, and you see it and it's all varnished and all based and everything. I get a huge buzz out of that. Just seeing them done. I think, fantastic, another one in the box. Fantastic. So it's great. So yeah, you can thank my mother for getting me into painting toy soldiers. I guess it's why also I'm very fond of 1/72 scale, because that's what I know, that's what I was brought up with, and also these chaps here as well, of which I have absolute mountains of these things now. 1/32 scale Airfix, because again, that's what I know, that's what I was brought up with. And things you're brought up with, they stick with you for life. It's like, we used to go to town once a week, and before we'd catch the bus home, there was a particular cafe that we used to go in. My mother would have a cup of tea and I would have a glass of orange juice, which I hated. I hated enormously because it wasn't very strong. It was kind of weak and watery orange juice. And I hated it, and I'd get this every week. And it sticks in my mind. And because of that, also, doing that week in, week out, I'm a total cafe freak. There's nothing I like better than going in a good cafe for tea and buns or whatever, afternoon tea. And I'm not a pub person by any means. I can go in a pub, but it doesn't give me a great buzz to go in a pub, beer and all that. It doesn't. But going into a cafe, for me, it's wonderful, wonderful, because it's what you're brought up with, and it's ingrained in you, and it sticks with you for life. Sticks with you for life. So yeah, my trip down memory lane. So that's how I got into painting the 1/72 scale stuff. I guess you could say it's my third go at this. I don't intend stopping this time. Well, I guess I never really intended stopping before. It's just life. It's just life. Sometimes life gets in the way, you know what I mean? Life gets in the way. And things have to be put on a hold, or life takes an unexpected route that you go down, and, but I'm here now, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I got a lot of years of painting left in me. I do have to use an illuminated magnifier now, and also these Tojo looking glasses. But the illuminated magnifier is great. it really allows you to see the detail on the figures, particularly when they're small figures like 1/72 and stuff. I need the illuminated magnifier and the glasses, whereas like when I was in my 30s I had no glasses and no magnifier, and I was trying to paint these things. So that's how you age, glasses and magnifiers now. I'm sure before long I'll have a truss and a bath chair and all that. But there you go, that's my trip down memory lane. Now I'm going to get on with these Cameron Highlanders. I think probably we're going to go with green on the facings. I think that's probably what it is. I'll check on line in a minute, see if that'll give me an idea. But anyway, we're way off doing the facings anyway at the moment. We're just highlighting, base coating the tunics. So if I can get all them sort of at least base coated today, I should be able to. There's only, was there 26 figures, so. But it's surprising how long it takes you. It's even smallish figures once you start. It's surprising how long it does take you. It's a time-consuming hobby, and like I've just said, it's not the easiest hobby in the world. It's hard work, but the rewards are great. So anyway, I'm going to leave you all get on with whatever you're doing now. As always, there's my clock. As always, thanks for subscribing. Thanks to Early Negron for subscribing. Be interested to know where you're to, which country you were in. I would guess Eastern Europe, but I could be way off. So thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, thanks for all your comments. I realise now that, quickly before I go, not every comment shows up in the inbox. Somebody was saying on one of their videos, I forget who, he noticed I don't always see the comments come up in the inbox. Well, I found exactly the same thing. So I have to check the video itself and roll through the comments to see if there's any new ones, because they don't always come up in the inbox for some reason. So if you've commented on videos previously in the past and I've not replied to your comment, please forgive me. I wasn't aware of what was going on. I now know what's going on. Not all the comments are coming up in the inbox. So hopefully now we know what's going on. We'll crack that problem. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for watching, thanks for your comments, blah 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 blah. I heard it all before. See you on the next one.